What's good with it? It's Sharp with it, and today I brought you some videos that may make you rethink your reality. But before we get into this, could you please hit that like button, that subscribe button, that I should not have to remind button up your coats, because we're about to step into the code. Let's go.
Now, I do believe that at one time there were giant trees, and the Devil's Tower is a remnant of that. Now, can you imagine how big this tree at one time could have been? Because even it being a stump right now, it is 867 feet tall. Lots of people theorize that this is just the form of something volcanic. So why does it look like tree rings magnified 1,000 times? Because to me, this is just a petrified tree stump. Because why is it so hard to believe that we have living trees this big, but at one time we had trees that were more amazingly bigger?
¡Ay, qué bello!
Dark continent? You're telling me there are lands beyond the ice wall with no sunlight?
Listen, don't take my word for it. Take Jonathan Hemington's. I mean, hell, he's the one who streamed it live on the dark web in 2020. Guy worked for a private research institute for aerial engineering. You know, developed these just incredible aircrafts, undetectable from radars, incredible fuel efficiency, allowing for flight durations that could last weeks. Little did anybody know the guy was just obsessed with the idea of these outer lands, the ice wall, and you know, one night he boarded a jet with a Starlink and his streaming equipment and headed directly down to Antarctica. He figured if he streamed right away, he'd be intercepted, so he waited until he was about midway through the continent, and as he started the stream, hundreds of people watched as he literally flew straight over what appeared as an enormous ice barrier. After hours and hours of continuation, passing over several different unidentified landmasses, he stopped on one of them to get a night's rest and continue on the next morning. But during that next day of flight, this was where things had taken a peculiar turn. As the sun eventually went down during flight, he wanted to wait until it came back up to get a safe landing, but as the hours went by, it never did. Eventually, due to fatigue, he was forced to land onto this dark continent, and little did he know this would be his last stop. Listen, this place he was in was nothing like we'd ever seen, okay? The environmental factors clearly showed this land had never been exposed to sunlight, pure darkness, and instead of trees, there were just these rock-textured spires that shot up into the sky.
That's basically Avatar. When you think about it, you got the colonizers moving in and taking the natives and trees and cutting them down, right? Because that's the source. If you think about it, like the Grand Canyon, Arizona, they all have mountains and extremely desert areas. And you're like, how did this mountain get there, right? So what if it was petrified wood, where petrified wood is wood that turns into stone? It's a process over like fossilization over a period of time. And in that period of time, it creates a stone, and that's what looks like a rock, right? And that rock looks like a giant mountain, but really it's just a giant stump. And that giant stump that fossilized, we call a mountain, but it's taking away the history of what it really was, which probably was a giant tree.
Let me break the ice on this flat earth shit. This ain't about flat around, it's about forgotten structure, hidden realms, and really just misused words. We are on a plane net, a planet, plane net, a plane of reality, netted by frequencies, encoded with lies and spell-coded dimensions, you feel me? Just like they split religion and science to confuse you, they basically had split your body from your soul, your memory from your mission, your sky from your source. You know what I mean? Just like how they split religion and science, they split flat earth and round earth. You know what I mean? But the ancients, they been knew. In Kemet, they call earth Ta, the sacred body of Geb. Sacred body of Geb. The sky was an empty space, it was Nut, a cosmic womb. So everything was in internal frequency. The gods didn't live in the clouds, they were the frequencies. And the stars were the gateways, not burning balls of just gas. That's just one small limited aspect. But consciousness, they were consciousness intelligence mapped through sacred geometry. You feel me? And the Dogon too. The Dogon knew Sirius B before we had telescopes. They mapped orbits of the stars we couldn't see way before we had telescopes. They said that the earth was a vessel inside a breathing cosmic egg, not like just going through an empty space of void with nothingness, but floating in like a sea of rhythm, of frequency, of synchronicity. And the Hopi told of the ant people who guided them through past world collapses underground. It was a lot of ancient wars. They did it to blade fat around. They mapped the internal worlds and the surface worlds and the sky nations like it was all layered together like a layered dream. You know what I mean? Because that's really what it is. The truth is, Earth is a frequency matrix layered like a drum head. You know what I mean? You vibrate at one level, you get one map. But you raise your frequency and the map updates new lands, new realms, new rules. They saying geography is really like geometry. That's why we are finding new places. Like we just found a new forest in China that's been there for millions of years with new creatures and everything. So basically just ask yourself, who gave me this globe? Who erased the star maps? And why do the ancients agree more with each other than modern science does? You know what I mean? Answer that and you won't just break the ice. You'll crack the grid. Follow me at ChrisKCrystals. Peace out, family.
Chris K always speaking facts, and it makes so much sense because like we haven't even explored 90% of the ocean, so there's tons of new life and new entities and new creatures that we haven't ever seen before. And the Amazon, the forest, we haven't explored everything.
Say religion was actually meant to control you and not actually free you, and Jesus was actually trying to tell you that the same divinity that he discovered inside of himself lives inside of you too, and he was trying to show you your own power. He was trying to wake you up to who and what you actually are, that you are just like him, a walking, talking, breathing, divine-ass piece of the universe, and all you really needed to do was wake up and just see yourself clearly. But there were these men, and these men couldn't handle it. And they were like, oh, God forbid that these people realize how powerful they are. So they took his message and they twisted it all up. And then they made up these rules. And they were like, hey, you know what? You're actually broken. And they said, hand us all of your money. And if you don't follow us, you'll burn eternally forever. But remember, that's followed them, not Jesus. None of that was what Jesus was teaching you. Because here's the thing. Jesus got cast out for all of that. Shamed, stoned, and anyone who has walked this earth with even claiming a smidgen of the same divinity, since, well, what happens to them? They get called crazy. They get thrown on psych meds. They get locked up, called a witch, shunned, burned at the stake, all the same. And if Jesus showed up again like you say he will, you would modern day do it all over again. I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but yikes, that is not good. I just wanted to remind you and make you think a little bit. Rise and shine, babe. It's time you wake up and remember, I love you.
So, a lot of religions are used to control, a mass population because what you believe in directs you. And so if they can get everybody believing in the same thing, they'll all go in the same direction. It's easier to control a massive amount of people like that. So the Bible, the religious text has gotten changed over time. They've left out things, and just most religions are nowadays constructed to keep people in line with rules instead of actually finding what's happening inside of themselves that they can use to evolve and change. Also, you shouldn't have to pay to get in touch with God. I believe you can get in touch with God whenever you need to.
He predicted that towards the end of last century and the beginning of this century there will be a movement driven by big corporations to take the soul away from people, to disconnect people from the higher world. And in order to do that, we have to destroy the pineal gland in people. And I followed the research on that, and amazingly what we found, the pineal gland is the most sensitive part of our central nervous system. It is highly, highly, highly sensitive to four things: aluminum, glyphosate, fluoride, and Wi-Fi. And we are the only country in the world that has pushed these four things in the last 60 years or so on everybody growing up here. And so what I feel, what I observe, and what we're also testing in our ART system is that people have severely calcified pineal glands. It is astounding that the telecommunications industry has selected the frequencies out of the huge spectrum of frequencies that are absolutely destructive to ourselves and especially to the pineal gland. They couldn't have made any better choices than 2.4 gigahertz.
The things that America sells you the most is like processed, whether it's fast food or even in the grocery stores nowadays, everything is processed to either grow faster or has some type of additive in it that you didn't ask about. And since everything is rented, you know, and convenient because you might live in a city, you don't get a plot of land to actually grow your own, you know, crops on so you can eat healthy. Like lately, I've been eating home cooked food. So when I ate processed food, which like, I don't forgot what it was frozen burrito, you know, and I ate this frozen burrito and I was sick for like 3 days because of it. So that can definitely kill your, you know, your spirituality if you're eating things that wasn't natural to you in the first place. It's like you're jamming up your system. Can't use your true power with it.
What if I told you that the harder you try to manifest your desires, the further they slip from your grasp? What if the very act of trying is the reason your dreams remain out of reach? You see, the universe doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your state of being. And here's the paradox. To get what you want, you must stop chasing it. The universe works like a reflection. It doesn't hear your words or your pleas. It feels your energy. When you try, when you push, you're signaling one thing: I don't have it. And so the universe echoes that back. More waiting, more longing, more lack. But when you shift your state of being, when you act, feel, and live as though what you desire is already yours, the universe adjusts. It matches you, because it always mirrors the energy you embody. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to effortlessly attract success, love, or abundance? It's not luck. They've mastered the art of being. They don't wait to feel abundant. They radiate abundance. They don't search for love. They are love. So here's the secret. Stop grasping at what you want. Let go of the need to control and simply align with it. When you embrace gratitude for what you already have, when you feel as though your desires are already fulfilled, the universe responds. Not because you forced it, but because you finally became it. The only thing standing between you and your desires isn't the universe. It's you. Stop trying. Start being. That's the only way to truly manifest.
You know, the less I force myself, the more I enjoy. And the more you enjoy, the more you attract, I think. You attract the things that you want. You know, when you're in a positive mood, you have positive outcomes. So, you know, you reflect what's happening inside of yourself to the outside of yourself. To let go the need to control things. And when you align with them, you can't step in your own way. You can't you can't self-sabotage yourself. You know, I have a saying, if you listen to my music, is I will never chase, I'll get out the way.
The moment I changed my motherfucking vibration, and I'm saying really changed my vibration, nigga, not just sitting down and meditating, did ayahuasca and peeled the layers mucking back. On the way, guess what happened? I attracted a girl that was a spiritual healer, rich as fuck, 42 years old Cuban woman, all right, that now helped me pay my bills. You know what I'm saying? Just because she wanted to help me, brought me to ayahuasca, which changed my motherfucking life. Yeah. I wake up, sit there and tell me, I hope you have an amazing day because you deserve it, King.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. When you change your frequency, you seem to just attract the things that make it a lot more easier. Like people just want to help you, or you just find people that align with you and help you on your path because it was their duty. Like everybody's here for a reason, even the people that are guiding you.
How are some of y'all going around living life not caring what people think about you?
I remember that I don't actually know what you're thinking about me. I just know what I think you might be thinking about me, which means I'm creating a mean and judgmental version of you in my head and then using it to think mean things about myself. And since I made you mean in my head, then really I'm the one being judgmental of you, not the other way around. Now I just assume people are cool and that they're probably thinking nice things, and when they prove me wrong and start acting mean for no apparent reason, I remind myself that there's a version of me in their head that they are thinking mean things about that is in fact not me at all. Actually, it's a part of them, so really they're being mean to themselves. It doesn't become me until I allow their perception and their treatment of me to start shaping the way I perceive perceive and treat myself. You know, the Buddhists have a story about the Buddha teaching in front of a large crowd of people when a man shows up to heckle him by shouting loud and mean and obscene things. But the Buddha ignores him and just keeps teaching. The man, frustrated, doubles down and gets even more loud, even more mean, even more obscene. But the Buddha ignores him and just keeps teaching. Eventually, the man gets so frustrated, he breaks down and goes, "Hey, don't you even hear me? Why aren't you upset? I'm being so mean. I'm being such an ass." Finally, the Buddha replies to the man and says, "If you give someone a lavish gift, but they refuse to accept it, who does that gift belong to?" The man says, "Well, obviously, it still belongs to me." The Buddha replies, "The same is true with your anger and with your insults. If I refuse to accept them, then they belong to you, not to me."
That's the same as the saying, being angry at somebody is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You know, your feelings are not affecting them. You're actually just hurting yourself.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give y'all a different perspective on things, because at the end of the day, we all have different perspectives and we are all entitled to those perspectives. But the problem with today's age and times that we're in is that it's so much information that most don't know how to hold the information or have space for this information, and how to make this information work for us on a day-to-day living. What we say today is spirituality. It was a time that it had no name for it. It was just simply existence and you living life. And they've caused so much separation with spirituality. You understand what I'm saying? You have those who are spiritual versus non-spiritual. You have vegans versus non-vegans. You have left versus right. You have the feminine versus the masculine. And that's causing an issue amongst the masses. You understand what I'm saying? Because even the term spirit itself literally means life force, breath, vitality. So all is spiritual. You understand what I'm saying? Whether they know or recognize this aspect of themselves or not. So what I would say to you all is not to allow social media to sway you of what you think spirituality is, because in essence, as I told you, the etymology of spirit itself literally means breath. You understand? And they've even tried to cause a separation within religion and spirituality, in which in essence, there is no separation between religion and spirituality. Because if you go and look up the etymology of religion itself, you understand what I'm saying? It literally means to bind or to bond. So what bonds or binds us to life in this moment is spirit, it's breath itself. So religion and spirituality is one and the same. There is no separation. There's no separation in no way of life. You understand what I'm saying? Until we create that separation.
That was eloquently said, honestly. And there's no separation from anything. You know, everything is connected. We're all connected by energy, by particles. We all breathe the same air, right? It's kind of weird when you think about it. We create what we stand. So if you decide to judge something and you start not giving it grace, separating it from yourself, you cause that division in yourself. You cause yourself to not like something or to like something. You don't have to feel anything about it. That's the thing about it. Talking about spirituality and religion, people like to have a division between things as if because I'm a spiritual, I can't also be Christian, or I can't have Christian values and be believing in spiritual, you know? Can I be a spiritualist and a Christian? You know, why do we have to pick a side? Why we got to pick a gang? Anyway, that ends another episode. I appreciate your valuable time. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to spend it with I. And I would like to thank you, sincerely. Sharp Witted. Get witted to get lost.